Welcome to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I am your superhero host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the anti-hero, Jeremy Van Grohl. But if I'm not mistaken, that means Taylor Swift is rooting for you, right?
That's like the one Taylor Swift song I like. I'm not a Swiftie by any means, but I like that song a lot.
I'm not gonna say I'm a Swiftie, but I don't get bummed out when Bad Blood or Blank Space come on. Those ones just hit, or Shake It Off. Oh
yeah.
All right, sorry, we're going off the rails already.
Yeah, Shake It Off's just catchy. Yeah, no. Yeah, superhero, we can use that now. Did you hear this?
No.
Superhero used to be trademarked by two separate organizations. Any guesses?
I would guess Marvel and DC.
Yeah, so the parent, owned by Disney and Warner Brothers, right? Yeah, so starting off well, but that's not, they now have somebody challenged it and that trademark no longer holds anymore. So everyone can be superheroes now. This is fantastic.
So wait, what does this mean for nonprofit bookkeeping? Were you at risk earlier with Super Financy?
I don't know. I didn't even know this trademark exists, but we got all of our marketing stuff is really superhero based. So I breathed a deep sigh of relief when I heard this news.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't seen, Jeremy's company has a fantastic little figurine icon that they send their employees out and about with. There she is, Super Financy.
Yeah.
Dare I argue it's almost as good as the Keeper cow and has nothing to do with Keeper. They just threw their names on cows. Super Financy is wonderful. I'm a little bit jealous. I want to come up with my own. We need to find something for Unaccountable.
Ooh, like a jester thing?
Yep.
Oh,
the thing is, we're cheap, and someone from Pakistan on Fiverr made our logo. I doubt there's an exact replica out there to be made already.
We can make it happen. Oh, good.
Well,
hey, speaking of travel stuff, you were at glamping trade show this week, right?
We were. So, folks, they talk about niching and then niching even further and then niching within your niche. And I come from a hospitality background, a lot of hotels and restaurants, but we go really hard after hotels. And we stumbled into our favorite niche, which for me is the glamping industry. I absolutely love it because it's a space we know well. It's still super complicated accounting. It's, you have to have inventory, a lot of receivables, a lot of payables, advanced deposits, old guest ledgers where you're tracking everything. It's as complicated of accounting as it comes, but it's fun. And I love it because it's our third year there. And dude, we crushed it. I haven't seen it yet, but I think we had so many consultations booked on the spot. My word of advice for anyone listening, if you booth, bring an iPad with a Calendly link pulled up and ready to go and get people booked on consultations right there on the spot. Because man, it's a game changer. Have a giveaway so people, will put their cards in a basket or fill out their email address. We got so many people. Dude, we were auctioning off. These are all outdoorsy people. We did one of those power bank stations that solar charges and holds 10 hours, and we're shipping it off to whoever wins. But we didn't give away accounting stuff. Nobody's excited about that. We gave away something cool to the industry. Dude, we crushed this conference. I am so excited. I've got 2 more this year, and I'm pumped.
I love it. And I actually, because I knew you were gone, I did some research on this one, and it just seems like a cool event, right? The spaces that people are getting, and you get to tour there of that one would look like a chuck wagon that they made into a living space or something. It looks just fun too if you're interested at all in travel and getting places.
What I would say to anyone listening is find an organization that you can partner with long term. I've already taken the Glamping Association, so back off. But no, what I'm saying is Jeremy, I'm sure you can say this. If you find an organization that doesn't already have a finance and accounting person that is their go-to, you start giving them free content, you get on the good side of the owners, you can crush it. And there are so many organizations out there. We literally can find 2 conferences a month within our niche of hospitality that we want to go after. There's one for every industry. Find an association group and go after it. And as long as you aren't the stinky kid in the group, they're going to throw opportunities your way. Unless you're the stinky kid, then they throw rocks.
Aren't we the stinky kids in our group, though?
We're the stinky kids at the accounting conferences. That's why Intuit didn't want to let us in.
Yeah, that's right.
Did we ever tell the story of how you got into Intuit Connect? No, we'll save that.
Yeah, let's say that. Maybe after we do, let me get in there legitimately once, and then maybe we'll talk about that.
Hey, listeners, stay tuned. We're not ready to out that story yet.
All good. Hey, let's jump into our first segment here, into news. So, question for you, and I hope everybody's doing well with this, but Helene slammed into the country a little less than a week ago, I think 5-6 days ago, and just wreaked havoc all over. And now they have petitioned the IRS for some tax relief. How many states do you think are impacted by that?
Ooh, 4?
There are 7. So
Ooh,
all of Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina are all impacted, and then parts of Florida, Tennessee, and Virginia are
okay.
also impacted. So if you are in one of those areas and we're impacted, first of all, we hope you're doing well and your loved ones are, obviously, but you also can get some relief on tax deadlines and filings and things like that. So if that at all help with your firm or your business, check that out because that could be a good boost.
Can I bring this up real quick? Because, I mean,
Yeah.
natural disasters are not great, but I
No.
love them as a small little litmus test to see if you have good clients. Like, I think back to what
Mm.
was it last? It was a while ago, but there was a hurricane that tore through southern Texas. And we had one employee that, like, sheds were blown down, out for
Yeah.
electrical for a week, no water. And, you know, we email clients and say, hey, apologies, but so and so was in the path of this hurricane. Like, things might be delayed a day or two. And
Yeah.
it's if any of those clients write back and say like what the hell and want to challenge you, that was your really easy litmus test to find out which clients are not quality people and you should look to be getting rid of them. Because any quality person, they'll at least respectfully say, "Hey, that doesn't work for us. How can we adjust it?" But the ones that just lose their mind over a natural disaster, man, such a great litmus test.
Yeah. Oh, completely agree. Yeah. Next one on here, OpenAI did some venture capital funding. Did you see this?
I saw they got mucho American dollars.
How much do you feel like OpenAI is valued at right now based on this last round of venture capital funding?
I'm gonna go with Doctor Evil and Eaton. Put it in there. $1 billion.
$100 billion.
Gentlemen,
Whoa. $157 billion they are now valued at, which is a stone's throw away from Disney and I think it was Morgan Stanley, Intuit. They're all in about the 160 billion range. I like that is crazy and I see it, but I also would like to state for the fact right now they are a nonprofit. Hey, call me. Call me, man. But they're looking at trying to get and switch over to a for-profit entity, obviously, because like the amount of value they could create and probably provide with their service is immeasurable at this point.
The question is like which is going to merge? I mean, so much can be said for being the first one into your space. I mean, look at Intuit,
Yeah.
right? Like part of their
Yeah.
success is just being there first. I think they have that going for them, but their competitors weren't years behind like a lot of other industries. They were months behind. It'd be interesting to see how well this plays out for them. I don't know. I'm excited about it because when a good product that hasn't been price gouging gets money, it usually means like more innovation to come, which
Right.
has me super stoked.
Yeah, and that's really like my go-to one for all the things. Yet I know there's probably 10, 12 really decent options out there right now, but so when I got and started with, it works well. It's pretty easy to figure out all that. So kind of
Can I
cool.
really
But
quick bring up though
yeah,
on AI? Have you
yeah.
played with Perplexity yet
This perplexes me. What is this?
for
Okay.
writing anything for research? I mean, it's to the point where I got the new iPhone and you can make your little icons. It's one of my main page ones because I go to it that much. Like it's my new everything. But what I love about it, actually, I maybe shouldn't tell you all about this because this is my competitive advantage. I love Perplexity because how many times do you ask any AI some sort of research question and it's like, oh, well, here's the rules. And you're like, give me your sources. And it doesn't do it well.
Yeah.
Perplexity will put the footnote links directly to its sources and cite them on every single line in what it gives you. It lays it out beautifully. Now, if you're writing half-assed jokes for an accounting podcast, it's not as creative as ChatGPT or Claude. But if
Yeah.
you're doing solid research, dude, Perplexity is my only go-to now. I freaking love it.
So, honest question here. Do you want to throw our listeners for a loop and just app snack this right now?
Oh, wow. Are we okay? Yeah. Why not? Let's go for it. All right. Today's app snack. Wait, should we do this later? Are we doing this now?
Let's just do it. Like, I would love to hear about this, and I feel like it's probably a better one than we had slated for this episode anyway.
Yeah, we're going off the rails already, folks. I mean,
I
we
love it.
really hard committed to our app snack about 10 minutes before recording. So this is really good. Okay, so Perplexity, right? First of all, there's a great study done out there by, I think Blake Oliver even did one a while ago, testing like the different functions of different GPTs and which ones were better at problem solving, creativity. They tried Google Bard or what's it called now?
I don't know.
Yeah, Gemini, Google Gemini.
Yeah.
They tried out ChatGPT. They checked out Claude. For creative writing, there's fantastic stuff. But if you have not played with Perplexity, Jeremy, let's just go in here. I'm going to share my screen. So for those of you that are watching us on YouTube, you're going to be able to see. For those of you that aren't, you're going to miss out on all the browser tabs I have open about Beanie Baby fanfiction. So that being said, let's pull this up. And Jeremy, I expect you to do some awesome narration for those listening. But if you want to ask, what are the key principles to taking a loan against your 401k or 401k, but I bet it's going to get it right. First and foremost, this is what I love about it, is it brings all its references right at the top and you can see all of them. But Jeremy, look at this. If I want to get into it and it references the loan limits, how much I can do, this is referenced in articles number 1, 2, and 4. If I click on number 4, it takes me directly to the link and opens it up on that web page where it got that information. So citing its sources is fan-friggin-tastic because I can look at this, and it's occasionally I have found wrong information in here, but I can see why it got it wrong because it was referencing article number 4, which this one, if it was wrong, I'm not saying this would be NerdWallet was the culprit. So what's even makes me more excited is I can see that it verified this information from 3 different sources, which are these 4 links above. It's wonderful for that. ChatGPT, in my opinion, is still better for creativity, coming up with fun, new, novel ideas. But if you want better wording, I would go with Claude. That is my favorite just for like wordsmithing and making something sound wonderful, fun. But for research, all day, every day, pay for the pro plan. It's fantastic. I don't know. Questions, Jeremy? It's free $99 right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And like the game changer for me is it shows the sources, right? You covered that already. And so like a quick overview, if you can't see the screen and you're on YouTube, right? It has like a mini page of a lot of them showing at top as soon as you run it on where the source is. And then you said like links to all of them. And that's what I think my biggest struggle with ChatGPT is like, I'm not sure if that's right. Where are you getting that? And if I feel like even if you can ask it 100 questions, you're still getting the same answer sometimes. Like then I need to go out, and if I really want to use that fact, I got to go, if it's not for this podcast, I actually have to go verify it and make sure we're putting good information out there, right? No, this is super cool.
Well, and what's even better then, scroll down, and it also says, hey, here are some other questions you might have on that same topic. Like it's already prompting you for similar stuff. So can I take multiple 401k loans? Sure, let's click on that and ask that question. Boom, we just got that resource as well. Fantastic for research, awful for creativity. But yeah, if you're an accountant, put this in your wheelhouse. Obviously, verify everything because I have found wrong information, but that's because it's just aggregating what it finds on the internet. Guys, unaccountables on the internet. We're going to feed into all this garbage one day. Sorry.
Yeah, this is why you verify your sources. Cool. Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, impromptu app snack. I love it. One more in the news article. Let's try to rein it back in, which is not our forte.
Yeah, let's talk about softwares people aren't excited about.
Yeah, right? Melio announcement. So did you see our mutual friend, Gabrielle Fontaine is the first one that made me aware of this. And that lady is, first of all, extremely smart and very good at her job and all the things, but also extremely passionate on how poorly this was communicated and rolled out to Melio users. Do you know the details of what happened? I don't know a lot of it, but I got the broad strokes.
I mean, I feel like you came more prepared to talk on this one because, spoiler alert, Jeremy wrote the notes on this one. But what I will say is I'm right there with you on the rollout and presentation. Like, talk about someone trying to say, hey, good news for you. We're going to deliver a very little less to you, but we're going to charge you more and we're putting it in place. Get excited. Like, not, hey, as businesses grow, changing economy, anything like saying why. Really trying to polish this turd and say, here's how you're winning by us getting more money. Like, Jeremy, please roll this out the way you saw it happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's just it. And if anybody who uses Melio wants to have an accountant user on it, from my understanding, there is a $15 to $25 charge. But I don't know the criteria on it. I couldn't really find a good source in the little bit of digging that I did. But first of all, no warning for this, right? Hey, this is just happening. And also they did like, hey, here's a webinar and tried to sell it. Here's all the amazing things it could do. But then it was like, send our support your questions and comments on it. Didn't even take questions at the end of the webinar on it, which right away, is like, oh, we can't allow questions here because people are going to blow us up. Right. So no longer a free resource that I know a lot of smaller organizations and smaller accountant firms relied on. So yeah, that's tough.
Well, and what I will say too is Melio, shortly after a lot of the blow up, I don't know about you, but I've gotten 2 missed calls and voicemails from my supposed account rep, who I've never heard from before, just offering to answer any questions and
Yeah.
make sure we're excited about the new rollout. So yes, plenty of, I think, missteps here. It's a lot like a few months ago when QuickBooks was really how they rolled out their layoffs, let's say. Not necessarily. So yeah, companies, just be real with us. We want to hear it. It's okay for you to say, hey, as we grow, like, we've had to make money now, and this is, for us to continue offering services, this is what we have to do. Great, tell us that, and we'll roll with it. Give us 30 days notice, and we'll run with that. But yeah, sorry, Melio, I've seen nobody excited about this.
Yeah, completely agree.
Well, Jeremy, I'm excited to jump into our first game this week, and I'm calling it Saving Away for a Rainy Day. We're going to ask you 5 or 6 questions, because I can't get it to load, about different types of savings, investment, retirement, any sort of account for putting away money for later and their specific uses. Do you feel like you have like any sort of background on this is going to make you semi-competent, or are we flying into the dark?
I dabble in some investment stuff, so I'm excited. I'm way more excited for this one than I am the typical tax questions. However, that does not mean I will perform any better.
Okay, so let's do this. Question 1. Business owners can receive up to $5,000 a year in tax credits for setting up a 401k or retirement plan to cover setup and administrative costs. They can do this for the first how many years? 1 year, 2 year, 3, or 4?
Ooh, this one's hard. I'm going to go take a stab and say 3 years.
Already avoiding the shutout. The first 3 years of a business owner setting up a 401k for their company, they can get tax credits up to $5,000. Now, there's a whole lot of rules that go into it because, employees have to be making a certain amount. And then it's also up to 50% of the cost for companies with 50 to 100 employees. But if you're under 50 employees, you get 100% of the cost written off for those first 3 years. So the setup and administration, easy to get that tax credit. So when you're setting up your tax plan, we had Guideline on last week. You really shouldn't care if it's the first time for those first 3 years, because the Guideline costs are going to be straight up tax credits to the business for those first 3 years. Awesome benefit.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if I'm getting that benefit, so I'm going to look into that one. Interesting.
We might have to reach out to your tax preparer.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
Question 2. Sorry, inside joke there, everyone. Outside laugh. You guys can laugh at it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Question 2. In 2024, a business owner can contribute up to how much into a solo 401k from their business? Now, this is people under 50 years old, but is it A, $23,000, B, $46,000, C, $69,000, or D, $92,000? Basically, increments of 23K, Jeremy. 23, 46, 69, or 92?
I feel like this is 23.
I'm sorry. So, if it's a solo 401k, this thing is pure magic because it's a solo 401k. So, this is only for business owners who they are also the sole full-time employee. You have to meet all the requirements. You don't have any employees that have been there the X requirement amount of years, or part-time employees that have been there 3 years or whatnot. But if you are the solo 401k, you as the employee can contribute 23K. And then the business can also contribute up to 25% of your earnings, and it maxes out at $345K to calculate your 25%, meaning you could put up to $69,000 into your solo 401k from your business if you are a solo owner. Like, that thing is magic if you qualify.
Yeah, and I knew like the 23,000 is why I said that. Like, I felt like that was the right number. But yeah, that is pretty amazing. You also need to be able to pay yourself $340,000 to do that. But hey, there are some people out there doing that. So
yeah, that's the question, right? You got to be a high-powered consultant, some sort of medical provider that you are your own 1099 from whatever institution you're working at. Like, don't get me wrong, this is not the average plumber we work with every day, but it is magical to know, and a cool little feature, especially because then later on they could take loans against that, like we just looked at in Perplexity.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Fantastic. Question 3. This savings vehicle, and this is not a multiple choice, Jeremy, you just need to guess. This savings vehicle allows biz owners or even W-2 earners to put pre-tax dollars into it, invest the balance and not pay taxes on the interest on the gains, and take the money out tax-free as long as it's for eligible expenses. What is this unicorn account?
It's got to be the health savings account, HSA.
Well done. I would argue one of the most magical accounts out there is the HSA. Like, there is no other vehicle where the money never gets taxed along the way and you can grow it. Now, unfortunately, limited to, what is it, 7,200, 8,000 this year. It changes every year and I should have come prepared. I didn't. But this is one of those early investment things where I tell every single client, no matter who they are, max out your HSA, max out your HSA. Like, fund your Roth, max your HSA. Because do you know what the number one cause of people declaring bankruptcy is?
Healthcare costs. Gotta be.
Unexpected medical costs is the number one cause. So people think like, well, I don't want to put it in a medical account. Like, I don't know if I'm going to use it. You're going to use it one day. Like, get that money in there, start saving. And bonus tip, here's actually a fun one, Jeremy. I don't know if we covered this on the show yet, but you could actually have a medical expense today and just sit on those receipts for the next 10, 15 years. Put it on your personal account, and then 15 years from now, go get reimbursed. That way you let the money just stay in there and grow in an investment account. It's wonderful.
Yeah, agreed. And that was the part I was going to bring up, is you have to have documentation on it, right? That you had a valid medical expense. But yeah, that's cool. I actually knew about this one pretty early too, when I was doing some financial independence, investing, listening. And it was like, always number one, fund your 401k if you get any match, right? Get that
match
free
it
money
out
right away, match it out, and then get this HSA in place. You also, I believe you need to have a high deductible health insurance plan to qualify in some, which they all are pretty much now, right?
I mean, almost every company is offering a gold, silver, and bronze, but gosh, like, there's almost no reason anyone's paying for a gold anymore, just because they don't make financial sense unless there's convenience, unless you're having a lot of copay visits. Like, it's almost everyone's on a high deductible. 2 more questions for you, Jeremy. This college savings vehicle allows for tax-free growth and allows the investor to self-direct the funds into any traditional investment or even another business or asset. Is it A, the HSA, B, the Coverdell, C, the 529, or D, the B52?
Love Shack, yeah.
You knew where I was going with that.
I was hoping you weren't going to have 529 and Coverdale in there, because I know it's one of those two, but I'm not sure which one. I'm going to go Coverdale.
Well done, sir. As we know, HSA was the answer on the last one. A 529 is relatively a state-sponsored plan, and the big catch here is you can put more into a 529, but the state pretty much directs it. You have no control over how it goes, and so that's why it's so popular, is because Wall Street makes money off of it, so they promote it and get all the stuff. A Coverdell, if you open one, you can self-direct, like put it in your friend's business, and if they're growing like crazy, you could grow insanely more higher returns than you would in a 529. Problem is, they limit you to $2,000 per year per kid. So, I mean, if you just put the money in from the moment they're born, you're only getting 36 grand in there. If you can invest wisely, you could get it higher, but it doesn't have all the favorable treatments of the 529. And as you noted, the B52s are the great originators of Love Shack. Ian, hit us with some tunes.
Love Shack, baby, Love Shack.
Love it.
Have you set up either of these for your kids?
We do have 529s for both of them. And I think, investment's totally limited. I think they have like risk averse, medium risk, high risk option. And I'm not using this for 30 years. Or 18 years when they get there. I always go high risk stuff for 10 years or longer. But we do have that. But this Coverdale one, I think we talked about this before. Not here, but you and I did. That definitely an option that I'm not taking advantage of and should be.
Yeah. So last question for you. If a taxpayer self-directs their Roth IRA into rental property, let's say a short-term rental, Jeremy, which of the following people is allowed to stay at that short-term rental? Okay, so I invested my Roth IRA into it. Is it A, my mother-in-law, B, my wife, C, my son-in-law, D, my great-granddaughter-in-law?
I feel like it need to be as far away from you as possible. So I'm going to say your great-granddaughter-in-law. No?
Unfortunately, the rules are so for everyone here.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, you can invest your retirement into anything you want, like a separate business. You can invest it in gold if you want. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with self-directing. Now, with that, if you put it into real estate, you cannot receive benefit of your own retirement account while you are not of retirement age. So I couldn't go stay at a property my retirement account owns because that would be me receiving benefit from it. I couldn't even go work on it because it would be getting benefit from me. So that means my wife is out because she and I fall into the same category. Now, the rule is no direct ascendants can stay at it. So mom and dad are out. No direct descendants can stay at it. So my kids, my grandkids are out. And no spouses of lineal descendants. So any spouses of my kids, but you know who is not excluded is spouses of my ascendants. So my mother-in-law, not my mother, but say my dad got remarried, mother-in-law could stay there, but not any direct ascendants, which super interesting. Or no, it's not saying my mom remarried, but my wife's parents, they could stay there because they are not my direct ascendants. Interesting, right?
Yeah, that is interesting. And I believe your wife listens. Would you want your in-laws on your rental property?
Oh my gosh, if my father-in-law were there, I'd like show up later and 19 things would be fixed. And he's like, and I also repainted this. Yeah, my father-in-law could stay anywhere he wants because I know it'll be 10 times better off when he leaves. He will get bored and start fixing stuff. This might be my new investment strategy is buy places and send him there.
Yeah.
Jeremy, 3 out of 5. Well done, CERN. And now, how about halftime? Well, Jeremy, it is halftime in the show, and this is the point where we already did our app snack, didn't we?
Check that box.
Okay, well, we don't riff roll. We don't go out of order very well. So let's just move right on to our next game, which is also me quizzing you again for another game I like to call Follow the Debit. Jeremy, I'm going to give you some accounting scenarios. All you have to do is tell me where the final debit or credit is. I'll tell you before each question. But obviously, if during this transaction, a debit and a credit hit the same account, it zeroes out, so there's nothing left. So you have to tell me where the final debit or credit lives. So let's start off with an easy one, okay?
Will I have time to T-chart?
You can T-chart if you want. Ian's an expert at editing this podcast and making it sound like we're up on things. So yeah, take your time. Tell me where the debit is. Nice and easy. Kirsten sold a Ziploc bag full of vitamins to a friend. Cash payment, cash basis. Where's the debit on her books?
Cash debit. It should be in the bank account, right? She spelled cash debit or cash on hand, potentially.
Well done, sir. Easy as that, right? Credit revenue, debit the bank account. Okay, we're starting you out easy. 1 for 1. Well done, sir. Question 2. From Alyssa's point of view, where's the credit? Alyssa invoices Jeremy $20,000 for consulting to help him fix his business, which he pays 1 month later via ACH. Where's the credit at the end of it?
I thought that was named Follow the Debit. I was thinking debit the whole time.
I know. Now I'm throwing it at you. Where's the credit?
Alyssa's credit there, if she's selling me the services from the initial transaction, would be deferred revenue, right? Until it happens?
Well, no, she charges you now. You pay it a month later.
Oh, I paid a month later. Did she provide the services?
Yeah.
Alyssa, I enjoy your services. Crap, I don't know. I was thinking AR stuff. Revenue.
Yeah, don't overthink it. The credit revenue, and eventually the debit still ended up in the bank account. We just had a temporary holding over there in AR or AP, whatever. Whose books? Alyssa's books, AR. Totally fine. You're nailing it.
All right.
See, 2 for 2, Jeremy. It's almost like you know what you're doing here.
Ugh.
Question 3, we're going, where's the credit? Jeremy buys a $15,000 computer server for his office. He buys it in February on his credit card, but he doesn't put it into service until July. Now, where is the credit?
It's not in service until July. It would still be on the credit card then, right?
I'm just trying to play with you here to throw the in-service dates. It has nothing to do with it. But ultimately, by July, actually, where should that credit be?
It should be paid. So then the credit would be Not an expense. I don't know. I'm happy I got the first one right, Tyler.
It'd be out of the bank account, right? You paid off the credit card.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It'd be out of the bank account. But you're right. I never said the credit card got paid off, so you are right. We debit the asset account as working capital. Eventually, it moves to in service. It's now an asset. But you're right.
Yep.
Credit on the credit card, done. Easy peasy.
Yep.
I love how you're not falling for my tricks. This is good. It almost makes it sound like you're competent.
Right.
Question 4, follow the debit. Our podcast editor, Ian, invoices his worst client $300. The client pays, but the charge bounces due to insufficient funds. Where's the debit?
This would never happen.
Where's the debit on his books?
An ACH. He's going to have the revenue and then AR of sorts.
Yep. It's still sitting in AR because the payment never cleared. It's still a receivable. He's still waiting on his money. Spoiler, everyone, we're really bad at moving money into this podcast account. Jeremy has to email me weekly like, hey, we bounced another $30 charge. This might happen.
We're sorry, vendors.
I literally had to go update the credit card for our recording software because, again, we only use it once every 2 weeks, and it bounced like twice.
Oh, yeah.
This podcast brought to you by Relay. There are no bounce checked or bounce payment fees. Wonderful.
Really?
Thank you, Relay.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Question 5, where's the debit? And this is your last question.
All right.
Our noble hero, Ian, from our prior story, continues to attempt to collect from his unprofitable client, but ultimately is unable to collect. This is strictly a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Where does the debit end up?
Bad debt.
Well done, Jeremy. 5 for 5. Yes, moving that debit to bad debt, coming off the balance sheet. He's moving on with life to better podcasts, accounting high, or workflow queen, or successful bookkeeper. He's doing better things with his life.
As he should. Please don't leave us, Ian. Love it.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
All right. Tag, I'm back in as the asker here with Fast Figures. And when is this one going to air? The 17th, maybe mid-month?
The 10th.
10th. Oh, yeah. Oh, jeez. We're going to be full into the Halloween spirit there. So we're going to throw in some Halloween cheer into today's Fast Figures. Are you ready, sir?
Okay. No, but might as well do it because people are waiting.
All right. With Halloween right around the corner, in accounting, ghost assets are assets that are still on the books but no longer exist or have value. According to GAAP, if you find a ghost asset, how many years must you typically keep the records of its depreciation before disposal?
7 years.
How many ridges are there on a full-size Reese's peanut butter cup?
Do I get a window or just exact number?
Oh, yeah. I'd give you a window. Just go with it.
35.
On Tyler's Pumpkin Humpkin Farm, you spend $1,000 for seeds and fertilizer and another $1,000 in direct labor for the planting and the tending of the field. What is your quick and dirty investment in growing crops asset value?
$2,000?
Friday the 13th, the original. How many people does Jason Voorhees kill?
7?
In Disney's Hocus Pocus, how many Sanderson sisters are there?
3. And they put a spell on you.
In your haunted house, Tyler's Wicked Wand, what is the minimum amount you are required to pay your actors?
$0. This feels like a trick question.
How many vowels are there in Celine Dion's name?
4.
Within 20%, how much are Americans expected to spend on Halloween this year?
The average American or all Americans?
All Americans together.
600 million. No. 1.4 billion.
The candy that you manufacture, Tyler's Twisted Tidbits, has a printed expiration date of 90 days from manufacturer. What percent of this inventory should be written off on day 91?
10%?
As we discussed earlier, you had a booth at the Glamping Show Americas conference this week. How many consultation calls did you get scheduled while you were there?
26?
How are you feeling about this one?
Dude, I'm not great, but to be honest, so I literally left the show last night, like packed up my boots. So I got off stage at 4 o'clock because I was the last speaker. Got off stage, had to pack up my booth by 5, hopped in the car, drove for 4 hours, went to bed, woke up, drove for 4 more hours, got home, and jumped on Unaccountable. So that is where I have been.
Love it. Well, let's unpack it here. So the first one we talked about ghost assets, right? And you find it, how long must you keep records of its depreciation before disposal? You said 7. Coming out of the gate hot. Love it.
I mean, that just feels like the standard answer for everything from the IRS. It's like 3 years for a business, 7 years if, there's anything shifty, and then indefinitely if there's fraud. Like, that's always the IRS's thing. Like, when in doubt, 7 years.
Yeah, and that's why just pretty much when anybody asks me document retention, like if it is not a formation document, when you created the organization, retain it for 7 years, you'll be fine. So good call. All right, how many ridges on the outside of a full-size Reese's peanut butter cup? I probably should have
take the over. I will take the over on my answer.
The over would be correct. There are 66 ridges on there. You said 35. I'm going to have to find one of these and count them because I felt like that was a lot. And then I kind of looked at Google the picture and I'm like, yeah, that's probably right.
I look forward to the day one of your employees needs a response from you and you're like, sorry, I was counting ridges on a Reese's. Couldn't get back to you.
Yeah, I'm working on important things here. Come on, man. Okay, so we talked about your pumpkin farm. You spent $1,000 on seeds and fertilizer.
Yep.
And $1,000 on direct labor and planting. Quick and dirty, what is the value of your investment in growing crops asset value? You said 2,000. I'm going to go wrong, but let's talk about this one.
I'm going to argue otherwise. Hit me.
Yeah, I believe 2,000 is the correct accounting value.
Agreed.
However, with most of the accounting done, that again, I looked at a couple different articles, didn't spend hours, but most of the farming organizations are using just a quick and dirty, only direct costs and supplies and things, not including labor and all the things that they should be.
Let's talk about this because you and I come from corporate, which is why we have an opinion on this. Now, if I'm advising my clients, I mean, how do you distinguish which labor was them planting versus which labor was them harvesting? Because harvesting is clearly operationally, that's not part of the asset value. That's just operations. But I think back to my ski resort days. You better believe we capitalized the value of all the labor going into installing chairlifts. Like, we capitalized all the labor on building new buildings. You didn't just say, oh, that we're going to expense that. Right. And so the labor that goes into it is usually part of the asset, and it's part of the budgeting for your assets as well. But if you're advising a small farmer, are you going to really tell them, hey, put that 1,000 on the balance sheet and spread it out over the next couple of years instead of, no, take the expense and the tax deduction? Of course, any smart accountant was going to be like, well, it was just labor in general. We're not keeping track of which is which. Right. Like, the tax benefits is all in taking the expense now. So I see the argument for one, but I'm going to argue 2,000 is the correct accounting answer, just not the answer we should use.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And if you think about what's going on, I don't know if I would have gave you the ding there, but all right. But if you think what's going on when you're not doing that is you are understating your asset value and you're overstating your expenses, right? That's the fundamental accounting mistake. Yep. All right, I'll give you half a point.
I'll take it.
All right. On Friday the 13th, how many people does Jason kill? You said
how many people
7.
are at that cabin?
You said 7. It is 0. Jason's mom was the murderer in the original Friday the 13th.
You know what's even worse is I know what you just did to me. That was one of the opening questions Drew Barrymore had to answer during Scream that she got wrong at the very beginning. So I know, oh my gosh.
Name the killer in Friday the 13th.
Jason! Jason! Jason!
I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer.
I honestly forgot that. I just know it's a fun trivia question out there that almost everybody will get wrong because everybody's scared of Jason and he didn't kill anybody in the first one.
That's why Drew Barrymore died at the beginning. She got that question wrong. That exact question.
Tyler, I think there's somebody behind you.
Oh, it's just a puppy. It's
cool. Okay, we're good then. Yeah, all good. All right, number of Sanderson sisters in Hocus Pocus. You said 3.
Yeah, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name. But yeah, the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah, she's one of the Wilsons. Wilson, isn't she?
Sounds
no,
right.
Never mind. What's their name in the show? Can you do that in the movie?
Oh no, can't pull that one off.
I wouldn't be able to do that. Winfred, Mary, and Sarah. Is Sarah Jessica Parker? Her name's Sarah on there too. It's another one where it's like It's like The Office where they couldn't come up with a creative name. I don't know which ones to go either. All good. All right, nice work there. So at your haunted house, Tyler's Wicked Wand, what is the minimum amount that you could pay your actors?
Your vagueness made me think this is a trick question.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that other extra half a point here and 1.5 points on this one. 100%. So you could pay your actors 0% under what circumstances?
I mean, family, friends, kids, something like that.
If you are somewhat of an organization, not just you doing it for your family, yes, as a nonprofit, you could have all volunteer labor go into this. Theoretically, you want to value that donation of their time as an in-kind service provided to you, but theoretically, you would not have to pay them anything because they are a volunteer.
Interesting.
And then the other two options is if it's a legal entity, you need to at least pay minimum wage. So I would accept the national $7.25, right? And then if they're a contractor, it's theoretically anything, right? You could pay them nothing. You could pay them something and not, and 1099, all that stuff. So I feel like you called out the right. It was a trick question. You got the answer right. So I'm going to give you that 1.5 here. I feel like
I'm taking it.
Solid. Yeah. All right, next one. And I want to make sure I don't skip any of them this time because I did skip one 2 times ago, if anybody noticed that.
Poor Ian having to catch all of my mistakes.
Yeah, he's like, you didn't answer that one, right? I'm like, dang it. All right, how many vowels are there in Celine Dion's name?
Celine Dion. 4.
Not syllables, vowels.
Oh, vowels! I changed my answer to 5, but it's too late.
All right. Can you name them?
EIEIO?
Yes. Vowels in Celine Dion's name spell out EIEIO.
That was an epic troll.
Oh yeah, it was. I think that's 2 good trolls I got in for you on this one.
Well done, sir.
All right. Within 20%, how much do Americans expected to spend on Halloween altogether this year? Not even in the ballpark. I'm surprised. I wouldn't have gotten the ballpark on this one either. He said 1.4 billion, $11.6 billion is expected, and that's 5% down from last year at over 12.
And I am not contributing to that. If anyone knows me, I hate spending money on things that just decorations don't do it for me. Ugh. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I disagree. Like, I'm good with easy decorations. So like, we went camping and had a Halloween theme this past weekend, and I got a big inflatable and a little light up sign or whatever. I'm good with that. I don't like things that are going to take me a long time to hang up. So I'm never doing holiday lights, any of that. I got 3 inflatables, plug them in, they blow up, I walk away. This is fantastic.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, next one. The candy that you manufacture, Tyler Twisted Tidbits, 90 days expiration date. How much of the inventory should be written off on day 91?
This feels like a trick question again, so I was guessing just something weird, but I would think 100, like you could? I don't know.
Yeah, you said 10. You were ready to say 100. I saw it in your face, but then you went with 10. It was 100.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you if you can say it's expired? The problem is if you then keep it around and somehow sell it later, then you've still got to put it back on the books. But
why would you sell expired tidbits?
Why wouldn't you? I mean, all
right, yeah.
It's candy. What, does it really expire in 3 months? No.
That's right. We find the Easter candy in like June, and you're like, it's probably fine.
Oh yeah. Who checks an expiration date on candy? Do they have expiration dates?
I don't know. They probably do. All right, last one. At the glamping show, how many consultations did you get booked on your calendar? So I went to your team last night, and I got an answer for this. So I know what they told me, and you went 26. They told me 11. They said 8 bookkeeping and 3 tax actual scheduled appointments.
Yeah.
First of all, I love your team because they play along with me on these things.
I hate my team. They're all fired. Yeah, so here's the hard part, too, is I just kept on telling everyone, yeah, go talk to them, they'll book you. So apparently people I said go talk to them. No, what I think also was confusing me is I got to speak on stage, and so also they sent me numbers like, we had 39 people download this, and 14 people fill out this form, and so I'm like, rough math, maybe something? But, okay.
Do you feel like 11 is good or not good?
If 11 on its own was the only number of, like, possible good leads that are coming out of this, I would say it's bad. But the amount of people we talked to, including like 3 people that were like, all right, I'm going to follow up with you next week. Take my money. Let's go. Like, they followed up with us 3 times during the show. Like, dude, I would be surprised if I'm not back to a 3-month wait list by the end of the month.
Yeah,
for clients awesome. Onboarding.
I mean, to me, like, we've gotten low single digits on some of them, but even if 3 or 4 of those pan out, like, we're not staying at the 4 seasons and putting a ton of money in this. And if you look at client lifetime value, even if you get a couple out of going to one, worth it all day long, right? And just the connections from there that can just build from there, it's just, yeah, totally worth it.
I think of one conference we did in March. I think we spent $6 or $7 grand all in between conference fees, hotels, flights for me and one of my team members to go. I think we signed 2 clients out of it at an average of like $1,800 a month. Like, that's $3,600 a month, or what is that? Like almost 48 grand a year, let's just say, for easy math, 42 grand a year. Like, that easily paid for the $6 grand investment. So 1 or 2 clients easily pays for a conference.
Yeah, completely agree. So, all right, nice work. I think you got 3 out of the 10. I threw you some bad ones at this one. So,
I mean, Reese's Cups Ridges. I'm not feeling bad about getting that one wrong.
All good. Nice work. All right, and that takes us to our winner of the week. And I went with accountants on this one. I found this article on Forbes where this nice gentleman put on how to make accounting look cool again, or accounting cool again, right? And the focus of the article was, let's stop teaching people credits and debits and all of that and make that the focus on accounting training, but make it actual higher level services that you typically see with like a financial analyst or a financial professional, right? How do you provide value? How do you look at elasticity of price and, inventory levels and returns and all of that? However, I do feel like if you had to title the article as how to make accounting cool again, maybe they weren't the winners after all. I don't know.
Our losers all in one. I mean, hey, we need all the help we can get, but I mean, help might be coming after that new proposal we talked about last week to get experiential hours and get rid of 150. So
yeah, let's hope so.
And for our loser of the week?
Loser of the week, I'm going to go with the large accounting firm BDO, and specifically their Miami location. Several pretty high-profile stars, including Jay-Z and Megan Thee Stallion, both are departing their firm over fraud accusations. And so if you think about what they did, they would do like bill payments and some financial management and things like that for these big, high-name, high-value superstars, but just had fraud allegations back to 2022 where somebody stole funds from everyone's favorite rapper, Fat Joe. Pretty sure I've never heard one of his songs, but definitely having repercussions from that other high-profile individuals pulling their funds out.
That's brutal. I mean, Jeremy, every week it feels like we can easily find one of these articles of some accounting firm committed fraud or horrible audits that didn't do anything and like missed glaring errors. Like, the amount of people at this conference that said like, oh, I'm looking for a CPA that does something. I'm like, why a CPA? Because I don't know what to tell you. So interesting. Well, Jeremy, I really have to share quickly that we also got more backhanded 5-star reviews. Keeping it short and simple this week on Apple Podcasts, 5-star review. I turn this on when I leave the house so the dogs don't get lonely. The constant dinging in the games keeps them on high alert. 5 stars.
I love the simplicity in that. Like, Yep.
Don't overdo it.
Spot on.
If you want us to read your backhanded 5-star review, go to Apple or Podchaser and leave us your backhanded 5-star review. We'll definitely read it on the show.
Awesome.
But Jeremy, that's all we got for this week. So next one is going to probably air right before Halloween. We'll have to figure something out, but we got guests next week. 2 of them coming in hot. So until then, sir, best of luck getting ready for Halloween, and I hope you don't have Thanksgiving decorations up yet.
No. Who would do such a thing? Did it.